am safe. I have everything I need. I am abundant. I don't need anything else. I don't need validation from the things that I have or my ability to purchase things to prove anything to anybody, myself or otherwise, that my validation actually exists because I was born, because I was created, because I'm still here. Hey y'all, it's me, your favorite friend and host, Keonna, and you are listening to Chats with frenZ, the show where we talk about all things life, love, relationships, healing, all of the things. And thank you so much for stopping by. How the heck have you been? How have I been, you ask? Y'all, we have so much to talk about. So grab your drink of choice and a snack so we can chat. In case nobody told you today, you're special. In case nobody made you believe, you're special. Y'all, I needed a little bit of motivation, a little bit of reminders, a little bit of, yes. Thank you, Lizzo, for reminding me that I'm special. Y'all, I have had a week. It has been a week. You know, have you all seen that meme? I posted it on my Instagram a few weeks ago, and it's of these kids riding a, the teacup on the, come on, use your words, Keonna. The teacup ride where it's like swinging around and swirling around in circles and circles and circles. And the little girls are on there and their facial expressions are like, whoa, right? And the meme is like, when you thought healing journey was, you thought your healing journey included affirmations and writing in your journal. Really. Whew. Come on, man. It is much, 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 much more than that. I done started rambling and I ain't even told y'all who I am. What's up? What's good? What's up and what's good, y'all? It is your girl, Keonna J, the host and your favorite friend on the podcast Chats with frenZ, where we have candid conversations, about all things life and love and relationships and anything else we want to chop it up about. It's a solo episode today. I am so grateful to have had Michelle Brown for the last couple of episodes. If you have not listened to those episodes, please do yourself a favor and go back and listen to those episodes because they were good and juicy. But today it's just me. It's just me and you, all of my favorite friends that are out there listening. So thank you so much for joining us. What y'all drinking on and snacking on? I literally just got done eating, so I'm not eating anything. I had a rotisserie chicken. If you all are not hip to rotisserie chickens, down to your favorite supermarket. Here in Chicago, we have, near my house, I have a Mariano's and I have a Jewel Osco. And for those of you who are living in Seattle, Jewel is, I think, a sister or cousin to Safeway. Safeway is what we have in Seattle. They have the Kroger brand, I believe. Yeah, I think they do. I think Mariano's has just got the Kroger brand stuff as well lately. But yeah, I get these rotisserie chickens because anyone who knows me knows I know how to cook. I know how to prepare food. I know how to turn a stove on. I know how to boil water. I know how to make more than cereal. But I don't like to cook. I just don't like to cook. And I really appreciate folks that really do like to cook, which is why I eat out a lot. Or I was eating out a lot. But which is why I appreciate eating out, because those folks in those kitchens and things really are passionate about cooking. And I think it's part of my job and duty to allow them to really excel in their gift and their passions. And so for that reason, I like to eat out. But as of late, because I'm trying to be a little bit more conscious and thoughtful about the foods that I eat and my nutrition plan, I'm somewhat limited and restricted in what I can eat in this particular phase of my journey. Those rotisserie chickens come through in a pinch, man. They do. They come through in a pinch. Now I will say this, and at Jewel Osco they have like a lemon pepper flavor that I love, and I didn't know nothing about lemon pepper until I got to Chicago, because everything and everybody has lemon pepper on all the chickens is down to the lemon pepper. So yeah, so I get the lemon pepper one, but one thing I will say about rotisserie chickens, like when I do cook, like when I cook chicken, I don't normally cook like a whole chicken. If I do cook chicken, I'll normally just cook like drumettes or wings or breasts. But if I cook like a Cornish hen, which is like to me a little baby chicken, I clean and get all the gook and the fat and all of that stuff, the slime out of the chicken, which they don't do with rotisserie, because they just take the chicken out and they clean it and then they stick it on the little thing and then they rotisserie it. And I'm thinking, they don't get like under the skin and stuff like I do. So I find myself like picking at it a lot, but it still works and does what it's supposed to do, which is feed me and make it so that I don't have to cook nothing. And then I just, throw together some lettuce. Tonight I had actually some kale. I made a kale salad, massaged it with a little bit of olive oil and some lemon juice, and I threw in some shaved almonds and a few craisins, a little bit of balsamic vinegar, and a little bit of this, I can't think of the name of it, but it is the sugar-free, it's like a liquid substitute, sugar substitute thingy that I put in it just to give it a little sweetness, and massage that all together, and voila. So that's what I just got done eating. And it's freezing in my house. Well, I don't even know if I can say it's freezing because it's not, but I'm 51. And so those of you who are 51 or in your 50s or premenopausal or menopausal, my friends who are a little bit older than me tried to tell me about this phase of my life several years ago, and I'm now in it, where literally like I could be freezing cold and then all of a sudden I am like drenched in sweat. I mean, drenched in sweat. And so like I have to keep this window open, and I open and shut it and open and shut it, and I sleep with a fan, and I turn I sleep with the bathroom window open, and the heat remains at like 71, because I think if I have it a little bit higher, then I'm too warm. If I have it a little bit lower, then I get too cold. And so I go through this song and dance all day, every day, all throughout the night, all times of my life, where I am just hot and cold, hot and cold, hot and cold. And then when I get hot, like it's like this, I'm already a sweater, and so like I just get so sweaty so quickly, and it just like my glasses fog up. It is a whole hot ass mess. But anyway, that's life. And so I was just cold just a few minutes ago when I started recording, and so I was like, oh, I'm cold, I'm gonna make some tea. And it is so good. My new favorite tea, which is this peach turmeric tea. It's so yummy. But anyway, so I made myself some tea, and now my nose is sweating, y'all. I'm starting to get warm. I'm starting to get hot. Anyway, so that's what I'm drinking. A long way of saying what I'm eating and drinking. What y'all snacking on? I want to know. I want to know in the comments what you all are drinking and eating on. So yeah, let me know what you're eating and drinking on. I would love to hear. Okay, so now that we know what you all are eating and drinking, or you all know what I'm eating and drinking, or what I ate and drank, I'm gonna pull a card from the And card collection, and today I am pulling from the Self edition, and I am just going to dig in the deck and pull one and see what it says. The first one I picked, I tried to convince myself to put it back, but I'm gonna go ahead and answer this question. So the icebreaker question from the And Self edition, the question says, what am I secretly not telling myself? Such a good question. What am I secretly not telling myself? I will say that part of the reason why I started off like I started off the show with that Lizzo song is because this week has been a week, or the last few weeks has been, child, listen, it's been a challenging time, but the last couple of weeks specifically, I have been sort of feeling like I've been reeling and feeling like I have been sort of out of sorts and like just, I feel like I didn't have a lot of direction, and I was like asking myself a bunch of questions about what I'm supposed to do and how I'm supposed to do it and how often I'm supposed to do it and what does this all mean, and just questioning everything about everything. And if I was to answer this question now in this moment, based on my experiences over the last couple of weeks and what I've been going through, what I'm secretly not telling myself is that I have the answers that I need, and I don't need to seek the answers to anything outside of myself. And so I have been like, I've ordered all these books and I've subscribed to all these podcasts, and I have started following all these different people on social media because I'm like, they have the answers. They know what it is that I need to know. And so I need to connect myself to these things and get more information, and then I'll know, and then I'll be able to make the move, and then I'll be able, and what I'm secretly not telling myself is that I don't need any more than what I already have. Everything I need and have is already in me. And I think I knew that to a certain extent, but I was definitely secretly not telling myself that. So part of the last couple of weeks, as I was saying, has been a whirlwind of things of sorts. Just feeling like I was swirling. I felt like I was busy doing a whole lot of things without a whole lot of direction. Like I was, throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping that it would stick. And there was like no real cohesion or just, things felt random. Things felt random in my life. Like I didn't have any sort of North Star or anything that I was going after. It was just like a whole bunch of different things like in my head, and chaos and confusion and noise. And so I was like, okay, the things that bring me, or how I get clear and how I get centered. One of the things I like to do is to start cleaning and to like clear space and move things out, move things around. And that just gives more room, right? It just provides clarity. And so it's spring. And so the last few weeks I've been doing some real deep cleaning and decluttering, and lots of trips to Goodwill and all of that stuff. And so I started cleaning and ran across so let me back up a little bit. Back in 2015, I participated in a program through Momentum Education, and it was a life-altering, life-changing experience. I learned so much, and I met so many amazing human beings throughout that program. And one of the exercises, and it's a very experiential learning program. One of the exercises they have you do is to write a letter to your future self, address it to yourself, and mail it to yourself. And during my spring cleaning, I found that letter. Another exercise that we do or did in Momentum was this exercise where people within the program that are also going through the program write messages to you that you save, and they're called rainy day notes. And they give them to you, and they're designed for you to read them when you're struggling or when you're having a rainy day, a proverbial rainy day, and you need a little bit of sunshine. And I've saved those rainy day notes. I have all of them, as well as a letter that I wrote to myself. And then I have over the years collected all other sorts of notes and letters and cards and things that people have sent to me throughout the years. And I have a huge, huge collection of what I call rainy day notes in this box. And I ran across that collection of notes and found the note. And also found a note that I wrote to myself on my birthday back in 2016. And so I'm going to read those letters to you. And I think for me, as I was like, the questions that have been swirling in my head around what to do and how to do it, and, you know, vision and purpose and all of these things that I've been asking myself and trying to get clarity on, like reading those rainy day notes, reading these letters that I wrote to myself and messages I wrote to myself, as well as a card that I received in the mail from a friend of mine who has always supported me throughout the years and who listens to the podcast. So you know who you are, and thank you. I love you so much, my little chalupa. But she mailed me a card, and so I'm going to read that card to you. And it just reminded me and solidified for me what all the things, like it made it clear. Like I was able to get clarity, and I'm grateful to God, to myself, right? I tend to not give myself credit, but for going through the exercises, going through the what I needed to do to find clarity, and listening and connecting enough to myself to actually bring it back full circle. So I'm going to start with the letter that I wrote to myself, and when I read it to myself, I just smiled, and it just brought so much joy. Yeah, so I'm going to share it with you all. This is vulnerability moment number 4,300,000 whatever, because one of the things that I really love about me is that I'm transparent. Like I'm real, I'm raw, I'm uncut, like that. I used to have this show, super subtle flex. But I used to have a radio show called Straight No Chaser. I was a sports broadcaster and sports writer, and my niche is that I gave it straight with no chaser. So anywho, so this letter dated March 8th, 2015. It says, Dear Keonna, first I want to say you are amazing. Girl, you are doing your thing. I'm so happy that you've discovered that you don't need to do anything else. You just need to be. So in order for you to launch your coaching business, really launch it, and to have your house ready for open house next weekend, as well as have that conversation with DeAndre, just be. Be vulnerable, be committed, be urgent, be trusting, and most of all, be love. I am so proud of the strides you've made thus far. Continue to be Keonna Yvette Jackson Peaches, just as you are. Just as you are. I love you, me. P.S. Don't forget to have fun in the process and enjoy the process. And that made me smile because one is, I feel like I have been like at the top of my lungs shouting this message of just being. Like I just want to be in spaces and places where I can just be me, and I don't have to code switch, and I don't have to put on, and I don't have to act like, and I can be sad or pissed or happy or whatever experiences I'm experiencing, and not be judged, and be able to express those without people turning their lip up at me or giving me the side eye or whatever. Which is one of the reasons why I created this podcast, because I wanted to create a community and be around people who supported me and loved me and allowed me to just be. And we can create this community and space together where we can all just be, right? People just want to be. And the world has created this system where we are so focused on doing. Do. And really the formula is be, do, have, right? And so we want to do so we can have. And then we forget that we are actually human beings. I'm learning to just be, and that being being is enough. It really is. And so much of who I am, my identity along the years has been what I've done. And so connecting to and just being and reminding myself that being is enough. This letter reminding me of that was just made me smile. And since 2015, I have wanted to be a coach, and reminding myself that, right? Like I've done some version of that throughout the years since 2015, but it just sort of re-solidified, like, okay, this is the vision. This is, this is why I'm here, to be alongside of folks and to champion people and to give them hope and to give them encouragement and to give them tools and to give them support along their journey. So that just made my heart glad. For my birthday, December 13th, 2016, I wrote this letter to myself on a little note card. It says, "Dearest Keonna, ! It's your birthday. So girl, happy birthday. You are worth celebrating today and every day. You are simply amazing. Yes, everyone tells you that, not because it sounds good, but because it's actually true. You are amazing. So I don't want you to ever forget that, no matter how much life keeps lifing and the world keeps worlding. You got this. God's got you. I promise. God has equipped you with every single thing you need to continue to be the awesome, amazing human being you are and make the impact you want to be. Now go be great. Happy birthday, girl." Oh my God. I just got chills again reading it. And so the other thing, the scripture that has come up for me over the last couple of days is the power of life and death is in the tongue. And, there is something to be said about backing up just a little bit. When I kind of started my healing journey, one of the first things I did was started repeating affirmations to myself and speaking life into myself. That's one of the very first things I did when I was like, God damn it, I need to start healing. Like there is some stuff that I need to work on. And part of that is the stories and the messages and the things that I was saying to myself. And so much, I felt so many messages were coming to me externally. Like people were saying to me, as I referenced in the card, people would say, "You're so great, and you're so amazing, and you're so inspirational, and you're so this, and you're so that." And I didn't believe it. Like I kind of believed it, but I didn't really believe it down in my core. And what I've what I have learned over the last year and a half or two of this journey that I've been on is that I have solely kind of been coasting along based on the validation and messages from others and not my own. So that is the practice that I've been in over the last, just heavy on the self-love, heavy on the reminding myself of who I am and whose I am, and that I have every goddamn thing I need to go be great. I don't need another book. I don't need another course. I don't need another anything. God has already equipped me with everything that I need, and to stop second guessing myself. And do I get in my head sometimes? Absolutely. And that's when continuing to remind myself and to affirm myself and to speak life into myself. And some folks would think that may be sort of conceited, or I can't think of the word right now, but to tell myself, girl, you are fly, you are the shit, you are doing the damn thing. To say those things to myself and remind myself, even when I'm doing something small, just in this journey that I've been on most recently with respect to my eating, and reminding myself and celebrating myself in how I've stayed committed and stayed on track, and how I have created a new way of looking at how I eat and accepting and just going with the flow and going with the journey and being okay with that and not resisting it and, just celebrating that about myself. Yeah. So that feels so dope. And if you don't hear anything else from me in this particular episode, is to speak life into yourself. There is power. The power of life and death is in our tongue. So we can speak life into ourselves or we can speak death to ourselves. Literal and figuratively, life and death, right? And so I'd much rather you sound conceited or pompous or full of yourself by telling yourself how amazing you are. And you know what I'm saying? Do that. Do that. If you're not doing that, do that. Do that. Tell yourself how great you are. Write yourself a letter and send it to yourself, and then open it up later, like 90 days later or however many days later. It's a powerful thing. So to be able to reflect back on these letters, I am grateful that I kept them, and I'm grateful for all of you who have spoken life into me and who have affirmed me throughout the years when I didn't affirm myself, and when I didn't believe in myself, and when I didn't see it in myself, that you carried me to this point where now I see and now I know. And to reflect back on when I wrote those letters, I didn't feel that. I didn't feel like I was amazing. I didn't feel like I was the shit. I didn't feel it. So here we are in 2023, and I feel it, and I thank you all. Thank each and every one of you who have spoken life into me over the years. Don't stop. I'm not saying that you get to stop affirming me and speaking life into me, but I thank you for carrying me all of this way until I was able to realize it in myself. So thank you so much. And then lastly, the last message that I want to read that I got in the mail from my dear Chalupa says, "Dear Keonna, thanks for existing and your divine podcast. You are a wonderful gift." And child, if that did not, I'm not going to confirm or deny that my eyes were sweating when I read that, because when I tell you that this podcast, I struggled for so long in actually launching it and actually doing it. Like, I was so in my head about who I was going to talk to, who was my audience, what was I going to say, all of the shit that I was like stumbling and bumbling over. And when I finally just did it, and to get that message that even if it's just her that's listening, that she appreciates me just being, and the impact that I'm having is exactly what I want to do, y'all. It really, really is. And I'm so grateful. I really, I really, really am. So yeah. That's what I've been up to. The other thing that, let me get some tea before I go on. The other thing that I realized in my decluttering, y'all, and so I don't know if y'all like me. The Amazon dude told me yesterday. The Amazon dude told me yesterday when he delivered my packages, he was like, "Y'all are doing the most in this building." Because I swear, Amazon comes for folks in this building like every day, like a few times a day. We are doing the most in this building. But like, the Amazon folks had already come, and they had said in the group chat, right? We have a group chat in my building. It was like, so-and-so, you have packages in the lobby, and so-and-so, you have packages in the lobby from Amazon, right? Literally like an hour and a half later, the Amazon dude rings my buzzer, and I buzz him in, and I go out to meet him, and he's like, he hands me the packages, and I'm like, "Are all those for me?" And that's when he was like, "Yeah, y'all are doing the most." But they were all for me. So I say all that to say that in this season of spring cleaning, right? I've been like decluttering, getting rid of a whole bunch of stuff. And when I tell you all of the things that I have been pulling out of my closet that still have tags on them, that I've never worn before, that I have never used before, that I've used 1 or 2 times before, is like, it is maddening. It is sad, and it is somewhat embarrassing, the amount of stuff that I have amassed that I don't even use, or that I see online. I'm laying and scrolling and clicking and buying, and that damn Instagram that is now a marketplace and a online shopping center, because that's what all of my feed is full of, is ads, to buy a bunch of stuff. And it has trapped me on so many occasions. And I try to justify it with, I'm just going to support, small businesses, etc. And I want to buy black, and it's so cute, and it's always so cute on somebody else until I get it. It don't be necessarily cute on me, and so, or don't be as cute as I think it is in the photo. So I end up, just with this ongoing cycle of taking shit to the Goodwill or to the shelter. And I just learned about a shelter in my in the group chat in my building, a shelter that's really close to my house that I take my clothes and shoes to now, but like everything else I take to Goodwill. I know that people, when they see me coming to the shelter, they're like, yes, she gives good stuff, because literally, like, there's stuff in there with tags on it, which is pretty sad. And so I started to reflect on that. I feel like I'm always decluttering, and I feel like I'm always taking shit down to the shelter and down to the Goodwill. And I'm like, how is the minute I'm taking 2 garbage bags out of here, I'm replacing it with more and more stuff. And so that was like feedback for me, right? That was information for me that I began to reflect on. And I was like, what is that all about? Like, what is that all about, Keonna? And what I discovered is that my need to buy things is a trauma response to all the times I couldn't buy things or didn't have the money to buy things. And yeah, that was what came up for me, was like, I'm trying to make up for all the times when I was broke, and I wanted, and I couldn't have because I didn't have the money. Or there was other things more pressing, like being a mom and buying my son cleats, or, food, or clothes, or backpacks and things that he needed, and I couldn't buy the things that I wanted. And so that's what that's all about. And so I've amassed all this stuff because I kind of somewhere along the line told myself, I don't have to buy for nobody else. I can buy whatever the hell I want. And there's so long, I spent so many years broke and couldn't buy and couldn't do. And so now I'm gonna just buy up all the things. And that's the bullshit, right? And I saw or I read or heard, I don't know if it was on a podcast or what, but it was a gentleman that said it, and please don't try to make me remember who said it, but he said, just because you have the money for something doesn't mean you can't afford it. And I was like, well, goddamn, if that ain't a mic drop moment, like that is so real. And when I think about, like, yeah, just because I have the money for it, when I think of, can I afford it? Can I afford it to the extent of the things that I want to do, and the life that I want to create for myself, and the wealth that I want to build, and the things I want to leave for my grandson? Like having Amazon show up every day with 3 and 4 and 5 packages, only for me to turn around 2 or 3 weeks later, taking a garbage bag full of shit to Goodwill or to the dump. Like, just because I can buy it doesn't mean I can afford it, right? And so it's just, child, if you could see me throwing my hands up, anyway. But anyway, so the learning and the feedback in all of that, that I've, conclusions that I've come to is that I needed to get some discipline around that. And I had to remind, again, back to affirmations and affirming myself and going back to the drawing board, to the beginning, and reaffirming and reminding myself that I am okay, I am safe, I have everything I need, I am abundant, I don't need anything else, I don't need validation from the things that I have or my ability to purchase things to prove anything to anybody, myself or otherwise, that my validation actually exists because I was born, because I was created, because I'm still here. Like, that alone validates me. I don't need anything else outside of the fact that God saw fit to create me, to plant me in Doris Jackson's womb, that I would become the daughter of Doris Jackson and James DeWitt Warren Jr., and that I would be born December 13th, 1971. And that's all the validation I need. Like, just my mere existence is validation. If I don't have none of this stuff, I'm still amazing. I'm still fabulous. I'm still God's child. I still have so much to offer the world, whether or not I have any of the shit that I'm looking at inside of my house. So my message to you is the same, right? You are okay. And when you're having those moments of sort of self-doubt and questioning yourself and questioning your validity, going back to the beginning, going back to source, going back to God. I have not prayed prior to April 14th, 2015, which is coming up. My God. Prior to that, I was married to a minister, grew up in the church. I've always been very much into church, right? Going to church, sang in the choir, directed the choir, was a first lady. I know, huh? I know. I was a first lady. So I've always had a relationship with God, right? And post April 14th, 2015, God and I fell out. And if you haven't heard the story, I'll tell it again one day. But God and I fell out, and I was like good on God. I wasn't really fooling with him. I had deuced him up, and I didn't want to talk to him. I wouldn't pray and didn't have much to say to God. I have slowly been building that back up in those moments where I've been struggling and trying to figure myself out. I just would pray, and not, how I was taught to pray, to get on my knees and fold my hands and bow my head and close my eyes, like this performative sort of religious practice of praying where you just say a bunch of words that you may or may not mean. But my prayer looks very different now, where I could be wiping the baseboards on my walls, and I'm like, God, so really? Like, we're like chopping it up, and we're like talking, and I'm like sharing and emoting, etc. And it looks like when I'm taking a bath and I'm quiet and I'm still and the music is playing, and he speaks to me, and I get downloads, have conversations, and a cry, and all of those things. That is what I've gone back to, like the practices I've gone back to when I feel stuck, or when I feel like I need that extra push, or when I feel like I need some questions answered. I go back to source. I go back to the beginning. I go back to the creator, the guy who created me. I think he probably knows a little bit more about me than I do, or anyone else for that matter. And so that's what I've been sort of up against and learning and processing over the last few weeks, which has been not easy, right? Not easy to be faced with the fact that I'm like, you're buying a bunch of shit because you don't feel like you're enough. And so you feel like you got to fill those voids with a bunch of shit. Coming to those conclusions is not always easy and not always fun. Ciao. More tea. Like really sips tea, right? you may or may not be wondering where little Miss Goldie is. So I had to make the very difficult decision to rehome Goldie. And when I say that was like one of the harder things that I've had to do in a really, really, really long time, that was one of the hardest things I've had to do in a really, really, really long time. And that whole process, and after, I had sent her to the new family, the things that came up for me, man, listen, I never, ever, ever in a trillion years would have thought what came up would have came up, right? Like I started to question all my relationships, how I relate or don't relate to people. I felt like I gave up on her. I felt like I gave all kinds of other people in my life all these chances and I didn't give her. There was a lot that came up for me around relationships in that process. How am I feeling now about it? I still look for her. I miss her like crazy. And I definitely in the early stages questioned if I had made the right decision. I began to second guess myself as to whether or not I did the right thing. I now feel like I did do the right thing, and I feel grateful to Goldie for all the things that she taught me and for the time that I got to spend with her, and that we kind of grew up together. Like I've been doing a lot of growing, and like I got her when she was 12 weeks, and then she didn't really know how to go potty by herself, or there was a lot of things she learned, and she grew up, and I grew up with her in some ways, learned some stuff from Goldie. She is with a family of 4, a husband and wife and 2 children. I knew that I wanted her to go to a family with some children. That I did know. As a puppy, I felt like she needed to be in a space, in a place where she could run and frolic and play and be a kid. Which is what she was, be a kid, and I'm a grandma. I'm not a kid. And so running behind a puppy was like, holy shit, what did I just do? What? What? You are kidding me, right? You're kidding me, right? I was just like, what the fuck is this that I signed up for? And you could not tell me that I had not done my research. You could not tell me, because the amount of time that it took me to actually get Goldie, between the time that I actually made the decision to get a puppy to actually getting her, was years. I mean, so I had a dog for 14 and a half years, Buddha, a pit bull boxer mix. I got him a long time ago, right? And he passed away in 2017. And I always knew when Buddha passed away that I wanted to get another dog, right? So from 2017, and from between 2017 and moving to Chicago, and then I wasn't really thinking about a dog, but I always knew that I wanted to get another dog, right? I was in such transition during that time, but once I kind of felt like I got settled here and I could, had made some space and all that, I started to do my research, and I was like, okay, I live in a condo, I don't have a yard, I want to get a small dog, and I want a designer dog, and I want a poodle, and I was down to the internet every day, all day about this goddamn dog, right? And there's so many different breeds of poodle, hybrid poodle mixes. And so I had narrowed it down to the top 3 breeds of poodle mixes that I wanted. And I went searched high and low, and I couldn't find a breeder here in Chicago. And literally I was walking one day, and this young lady was walking her dog, her poodle. And I said, where did you get your dog? He was so cute. And she told me. And of course I ran home, went to that website. I saw Goldie's little face. And even as the weeks went on, like when I first saw Goldie's little face on the internet, she wasn't ready. Like, she wouldn't be ready for a while, right? And I just was like, okay, this is God's, this is a message from God, like running into the lady, and then, going to the website and seeing the dog, like the breeder had a litter, 2 litters, and Goldie's little face stood out to me. And they had named her Jewel. Her name was Jewel on the website. And so, I waited and waited until she was ready to leave her mother. And even after that, I still was like, okay, trying to learn everything I could, get my house puppy proofed and learn everything I needed to learn about owning a puppy. I reached out to the breeder, paid my deposit. I drove 4 hours into Indiana to go get Goldie and brought her home. And I posted it on social media, and I was so happy. She was just like love at first sight. When I first got her and held her, I was so happy. And I thought I knew what I needed to know about what owning a puppy was about. So one of the things I learned from my time with Goldie is that I thought I knew what owning a puppy was about, and I didn't know what owning a puppy was about. And I think the Googler can only tell you so much about puppy ownership, right? Like, I got insurance, and I found a vet, and I did all of the logistical things. And this brought up some other learnings and other, shit that came up for me as it pertains to my childhood. And then number 2, that owning a puppy is like a serious lifestyle change, right? Like, it is a complete lifestyle change. It is. And what I also learned is that, like, if I had to do it all again, I've thought about this a lot. I've thought about this a lot, but if I had to do it all over again, and what I know about me and what I learned about me and what I need is that I would not have gotten a puppy. I would have gotten an older dog. The puppy stages are not for the faint at heart. There is a lot that goes into having a puppy that is very different than having an older dog. And so it's a complete lifestyle change. And I work from home, and I was like, okay, I'm home. I'm not like out of the home, so I have the time. We went to puppy training class. Child, listen. Good night. Whew. Lifestyle change. The number 3 thing that I learned is that I was once again in a situation where my life centered around another breathing thing. And I thought I had created a life where I was the center. And once again, I had created a life where my life centered around another breathing thing. And I realized why. And I'll share that. I'm not going to share that right now, but what I learned about sort of my coping mechanisms, sort of my trauma, past trauma, etc., where it's definitely a lot easier for me to take care of any and everyone else but me. And so I was in this space in my life where there was no one else. I broke up with my ex in 2021, and I've been single ever since. Friendships begin to die, and I found myself alone, and I didn't know what to do with myself. And so I was like, I'm gonna go get something else to sort of take the attention off of me. And we'll talk about that in another episode. But here I was again, and then I found myself becoming bitter that there was no time for me, right? And that I had to take care of this thing. Which brought me to number 4 is that I'm used to providing for breathing things. Like, I can really provide. I can make sure that everyone has everything that they need. I am a provider. But I was not used to really tending to. What I learned, and I found myself using this word when I've been going through this process of learning myself and learning to love myself was this exercise of tending to myself. Like, tending to is different from providing for, right? And taking care of, right, is different than providing for. So I've been tending to and taking care of myself, which is very different than providing for. And so I was easily able to provide for Goldie, right? I provided food and shelter and toys and treats. And tending to her is where things got sticky. And when she wanted me to tend to her and I didn't have the capacity or the desire or the skills or the whatever to tend to her in the way that she needed to be tended to, I began to get bitter and angry. And really, I didn't really know. I'm still learning how to tend to myself. And so I was just like, right? So that was another thing I learned. And then number 5 thing that I learned is that I still have a lot of healing and work to do around giving and receiving unconditional love. So that's the Goldie update, and that's the me update. And I love you all so much for listening and letting me share and letting me be vulnerable and supporting me and loving on me and carrying me throughout all of these years. And as you continue to support and love me and carry me going forward. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful to each and every one of you who tuned in to me and listen to this show. And my, really what was missing for me was community, right? I'm in Chicago by myself, and I was like, okay, so how do I get to, how do I create friends? Like, I need and want some friends. I need some folks to talk to. And you couldn't have told me, rewind back to when I was a little kid. You couldn't have told me that I wasn't going to be the next Oprah. I was watching Oprah way back in the day. You could not have told me that I wasn't going to be an entertainer. I've always had this high octane sort of personality. I've always loved to talk. I've always loved, I've always been very charismatic, all of that stuff. And that's always somewhat been frowned on. And that's another show. But I found myself in this space, and I was like, I need and want some friends, and I want to be able to chat with my friends, and I want them to chat with me. My phone was dry as fuck, and nobody's checking for Keonna. And I was like, okay, so I can sit around and complain about not having friends and not having nobody to talk to, or I can go create a space for me to have friends and for me to have somebody to talk to, and for me to have folks talk back to me, to be in relationship with others. That is one of my heart's desires, and I thrive off of being in relationship with others. And so that is what this is all about: sharing candidly and just being real, healing together, growing together, learning together. Yeah, so I hope that what I was able to share with you very, very, very vulnerably, very open, very raw, very real, very uncut, that it was helpful for you, and that, you remember to affirm yourself and speak life into yourself. That's one of the things that I want you to take away from this time today is you are the shit. You are amazing. You are all of that in a bag of Doritos. All of it with some dip, because you can't eat Doritos without dip. Chips and dip, that's my nickname. Because if I was stranded on a desert island somewhere and I could only have one thing to eat, I would choose chips and dip. I love chips and dip is one word, so that's one thing. So get off my head. One thing is chips and dip. That equates to one thing. But anyway, I've rambled enough. I love you all. I love you. I love you. I love you all for listening, for going on this ride with me. And I hope you all have a fantastic week. And I look forward to hanging out with you again and chatting up with you again. See you next time. Bye.